If you've ever stumbled upon the Beware section of the LGBTA wiki, you probably know that there are tons of categories that go from just not right to incredibly dangerous. There's groups like pedophiles and pedophiles have been trying to say they're LGBTA too for years when they're just harmful individuals. There's also exclusionary categories like TERFs and the ones that has been getting talked about a bunch these days, the super straights. These people are just, to put it simply, transphobic. And look, I get it. Some people want labels to feel like they belong somewhere or to feel comfortable in who they are. Even though I personally don't like to label myself because I find it overwhelming to put myself in a category, I can understand people who do. It's nice to feel understood and like you belong somewhere. That doesn't mean you can just identify it as something based on hatred or as someone who harms children and animals. And let me not even get started on the LGBT plus Confederate because I'll get an even bigger migraine. My point is, through the years, a bunch of harmful and exclusionary terms, identities, and movements have been created, and sometimes they're so ridiculous, they can't possibly be true, right? Today we're going to be talking about one particular quote-unquote sexuality that started as a joke on Tumblr, but has now evolved into something that makes people, including myself, confused as to whether this is still a joke or are people actually attracted to rabies. Before I begin, a little disclaimer. All my sources will be linked down in the description as always. If I get anything wrong or I'm missing information, feel free to correct me or add to it in the comments nicely. I'm only human and I'm trying my best. Please don't send any type of hate to anyone I mentioned in this video, and that includes the blogs with the information. Now, on to learning about Rabiosexuals. To start, let me tell you what rabies is in case some people don't know or just have a very general concept. According to MediaClinic.org, rabies is a deadly virus spread to people from the saliva of infected animals, usually through a bite, but in very rare cases it can be transmitted by infected saliva getting into an open wound, the eyes, or mouth. Animals that can transmit such disease include bats, coyotes, foxes, raccoons, and more, but it can also be transmitted by unvaccinated cats and dogs, as well as other pets like ferrets. So be careful if any of those animals try to lick an open wound or your face. We don't want you getting rabies. Symptoms of rabies include fever, headache, nausea, agitation, excessive salivation, hallucinations, among others. If you contract rabies, there's a high risk of death, which is why you should receive vaccination for protection. There's easy ways to prevent this. As mentioned before, if you have pets, have them vaccinated against rabies. You can also keep them inside to protect them from predators that might have the virus. Small pets like guinea pigs can be vaccinated, so keeping them in cages is best for prevention. Stay away from wild animals and report any strays to local animal authorities. If you're traveling to a country where rabies is common, also consider getting vaccinated yourself. As you can see, rabies prevention is fairly easy if you're careful. But what if someone were to purposely want to get infected? To put it simply, rabiosexuals are attracted to rabies, be it the disease itself, the symptoms, or people who have it. Some even wishing to have it themselves. Tumblr user Rabies in 2019 explains that rabiosexual can mean a lot of things. Some people like to roleplay being rabid, enjoying the idea of the symptoms in others or themselves. They can like the idea of infecting others, getting infected, and can be considered a subset of fetishes for discomfort or illness. It can also be a romantic attraction, meaning they don't actually want to contract the virus, they're just attracted to it figuratively. They do say that it's a general rule that most people don't want to be infected with rabies in reality, but some do. In the same way, some people like to deliberately get colds. Another Tumblr blog called Rabiosexual Info says something similar. They say that they do not support those who try to get or encourage others to get literal rabies. Quote, "If you condone the action of trying to go out and get the actual deadly disease, do not interact with us or this blog." They also remind people that this blog is not a meme or fake. They want to spread positivity to the small community of rabiosexuals as it's rarely recognized as something serious. According to this same blog, these are the characteristics that make someone figuratively rabid. Having and being attracted to symptoms that could be considered of rabies, such as acting crazy, odd, or unusual from the norm. Hissing, sensitivity to light, fear/avoidance of water, mental confusion. Why does this sound like me? As well as identifying as figuratively rabid. They also say they're not LGBT. Quote, "We like to consider it something else and by itself." Now, these people, if they're being honest, are clearly not doing anything to harm others or themselves, so I won't condemn what they're attracted to. As long as they are just figurative rabid, who am I to judge? Unfortunately, the origins of rabiosexuality are a lot different and more controversial. In mid to late July 2018, a Tumblr user known for creating parody pride flags posted a now deleted post containing a flag for, quote, "when you're LGBT and have rabies." The post gained over 12,000 notes. A few days later, another user, Daily Stims, known for posting about stimming, posted a joke rabies pride stim board that read, "People who don't have rabies don't interact." The board contained the aforementioned flag in the middle with gifs that are somehow related to rabies around, one which included a raccoon. This post continued to spread, with many people participating in the joke by adding pictures of different people and characters in front of the rabies flag. Some of them are actually kind of funny. Somewhere around this time, a Discord server for Rabiosexuals popped up, and screenshots of its conversations were posted around Tumblr. The poster would express their uncertainty of whether this was serious or just a joke. There are many notorious rabiosexual posts that are now confirmed to be a joke, but how solidified the whole notion of the term. One, if not the biggest poster, was user Rabid Rick, later changed to Rabid Loving. In his now deleted blog, deleted by Tumblr by the way, he mentions having self-diagnosed with rabies and identifying as a rabio-romantic gray bisexual. He posted about his rabies stories and other rabiosexual related things. The rabies story is incredibly horrific and probably not safe for YouTube at all, but it does mention getting purposely infected for the sake of his mental health. He apparently met a girl online who was born with rabies and she infected him with a bite. There's misinformation about rabies, such as how you can be born with rabies and that rabies will not kill you. Rabies will kill you, okay? Trust me. He also mentions how he doesn't really want to infect other people and how he curbs his biting impulses by biting into raw steaks. There also used to be a picture of his alleged bite, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Other notorious posts include a post about how being vaccinated against rabies ruins lives. Rick mentions how he doesn't think children should be vaccinated unless they want to when they're adults. It's filled with a lot of anti-vax rhetoric as well as other things that don't make any sense. He also expresses his fear of having been vaccinated against rabies as a child and how that potentially ruined his life and other people's lives, saying, "How many other kids are there just like me? How many adults have grown up miserable because they've been vaccinated against their genetic disposition for a certain disease?" It's practically eugenics, and it makes me sick to my stomach. There are babies right now getting vaxxed because that's what's healthy for them, and their parents have no idea how much grief they're causing right now. So yeah, maybe stop vaxxing your kids. Needless to say, the whole post is wild. For the record, he has since said he was pretending to have rabies and kind of regrets it. If you want the full complicated story, I'll leave a link to a Reddit thread explaining it in detail, and also Strange Eons reading most of it on her video. Another popular post was one by Stimman3000 about how they managed to infiltrate the Discord server I mentioned before. It says, "I managed to infiltrate a rabies Discord server and at least 75% of the people in it are f***ing with each other, but it's so wild." Followed up by screenshots of said Discord. This includes things like, "My dog just killed a baby fox and I'm wondering if I can get rabies from it if it's dead." To which another user replies, "Well, a quick Google search says rabies is no longer infections after 24 hours of the host animal's death." The conversation devolves into the original chatter saying they like drinking animal blood and if that would be enough. Another user mentions to make sure that their dog doesn't have rabies, to which the person replies, "I think it's fine if my dog has it too." They then discuss the ethics of giving rabies to the dog because they can't consent, and how if you think rabies is not bad, then it's not abuse. It's a lot. If you want to read more of them, I'll leave them linked in the description too. And this is what basically solidified the legacy of rabiosexuality as a joke, or trolling for the most part. I also found a bit about how Rabiosexuals might partner up with zoophiles to try to make their identity valid, but I couldn't find an exact source to that, so I'm not sure if it's true or just something that seemed like a logical connection to someone. For the most part, rabiosexuality started as a joke and was spread around by trolls. The idea of people purposely contracting a deadly virus or being attracted to people with said virus sounds incredibly dangerous and is something that should not be a part of the LGBTA+ community. But to be fair, I don't think anyone is actually trying to make that happen like other horrible groups of people. That being said, there seems to be a group of people who do identify as rabiosexuals in a figurative sense. They don't want it to be part of the LGBTA community, and I think it's more of a kink than a sexuality. Something figurative, as they explain, like roleplay. I personally don't have any problem with that. After all, we don't kink shame in this household. As long as you're not harming yourself or others and everything is consensual, who am I to judge? And it does seem like this group of people are trying to reclaim rabiosexuality, even creating a new flag to distance themselves from the original made as a joke. Or maybe they're also trolling and I've fallen for it, I don't know. It's so hard to tell these days, please help. Would it surprise me if in the year of our Lord 2021, there are people wanting to contract rabies due to some kind of attraction? No, not really. Very little surprises me these days, unfortunately. Let's just hope nobody was actually being serious about it and nobody tries anything similar. Nowadays, you usually see people beaming about it or writing short stories that are just kind of funny. It's very hard to tell what is real and what is a troll when it comes to this topic. What I do know is that rabiosexuality solidified itself as another strange, disturbing meme to come up from Tumblr. Thank you so much for watching this video if you got to this point. Also, thanks to Annie who suggested this topic some time ago in my suggestion box. You can find it in the description. And to everyone who voted for it on the poll. This was actually a roller coaster because I came here with one general idea and came out with something completely different. But let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Maybe leave a comment to appease the algorithm overlords. Thanks to my patrons, and I'll see you next time. Have good day, good night, and good fight. Bye.